Okay, I think, so we have, if I'm doing this right, one, two, we have a quorum already, six,
How big is is it 10 members?
10. Yep.
So 6 would be a quorum. So I can, if you'd like to call it, do you think you have a quorum? Because I can,
I think we do. It appears we do.
why don't I take a roll here?
Perfect.
Assuming the minutes are here from last time. There they are. Hanairo, not present. Hovey, I see. Pulvermacher, I see. Pardon me if I mispronounced the names. Is it Bauby?
Perfect.
Is Bauby here?
Kelsey is not here right now, I don't believe.
Buchholz,
That's me.
you're here? Okay. Harrington, not present. Ramish or Ramish?
Here.
You're there. How's it pronounced?
Ramesh.
Ramesh. Oh, I was really off. Sorry. Lathrop,
Here.
Bindle,
No.
Not
He-
here.
Yeah, he sent a message around saying he's not going to be able to make it. His family, there's COVID in the house now.
okay. So, and I see that, I see Alder Hanairo joined us. So that means and I see Kelsey joined us. So it's just Harrington and Bindle that aren't present. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Okay. So you have a quorum and Christie, feel free to go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, so first we'll start with the agenda. Do we have approval of the minutes from June 20th? Any amendments? Anyone? Lisa?
I just had a couple small corrections. I noticed that it says in the minutes that Weitzel was missing. Deb, were you on the last one?
No, I was in Italy.
Okay, then the correction will be on the next page where it says that there were 390 unanimous votes, but we had 2 members missing. So
Oh,
This is
correct. So
8-0.
8-0?
Yeah,
Okay, well, why don't we,
that's it.
that's it. Anyone else have amendments?
I just have a minor change. My name is actually spelled wrong. So it has 2 H's instead of 1, Buchholz.
Oh, thank you.
Hmm.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Oh yeah, I think okay.
Which means wooden book in German, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means beechwood, I think.
Oh, beechwood. Okay.
Yeah,
Really?
beechwood.
That's
Yes.
interesting.
I think Holtz is wood, and so like BUCH is beech and Holtz is wood.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Any other?
Yeah, any other ones?
So I have a misspelling and the vote totals. I'll make sure that those get fixed.
And just real quick, do we have approval from everyone on the amendments?
Mhm. Yes.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
So is there a motion to approve? Is that what you're doing or?
Sure,
I
sure. Motion to approve the amendments?
I'm gonna
I'm-
abstain.
as a
I
point
wasn't
of
there.
order, we've established that a motion is not necessary for the minutes, as I understand it from Robert's Rules of Order. If somebody has some other understanding, please correct me, but I think we went through that.
Well, that was, I'm going to speak on this. I feel like if we make amendments to the minutes that were presented to us, then we should take a vote on approval as the minutes as amended.
That's
I'll just weigh in
plausible.
and say, it doesn't matter to me either way, but it isn't necessary even if you do make amendments. Not
Yeah, but
according to
if-
Robert's rules.
Yeah, but if you want committee involvement and feel like we're in this thing, then just because somebody makes makes a change, maybe we don't all agree with it. So technically, I think you need to get an approval of the minutes as amended. That's just how I feel, and it's getting the committee involved rather than just deciding it's done.
Okay, so do we have a second to approve the minutes?
As
A
amended.
second.
Okay, great.
So
Thank you.
who it was, did Dick Lathrop make the motion then? Is that
I did.
to move approval of the minutes as amended? Okay.
Great. Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, next agenda item
Wait,
is,
and now, wait, I'm sorry. If
Oh,
we're
go
going
ahead.
to do, we have a motion that hasn't been voted on. If we're
Oh.
going to follow that protocol, we
you're right. Okay,
should conclude with a vote.
let's take a vote. Who votes to approve the amended minutes?
I,
I,
Aye. Sounds like we're approved. Thank you. Good clarification, Kermit. Okay. So next, what I really wanted to have on this agenda was, another welcome for the new members. And so I know I speak for this entire committee that we are all very much excited that you're here. And you kindly, all new members, gave an intro to us. But however, our memories might be falling short. And also, I feel like it would be a nice thing to do if all of us, there's a lot of us, if we gave you a short, intro and background on us as well, so that you have a little more of a feel about the committee. So why don't I start and then we can just go from there. So I'm Christy Pulverman. Oh, go ahead, Kermit.
just again, point of order.
Yeah.
Do you want to propose like a 1-minute limit or something, just to make sure we don't, we
Great
all have such fascinating stories to tell. But
That's
I
a
think we
fabulous
want-
suggestion. I was going to mention 2 minutes. I think 1 minute's even better. 1 minute is great suggestion, Kermit. Thank you. Okay, I'm Christy Pulvermacher. I am very interested in sustainability. My interest started, when I was young. My dad was an engineer and always kind of telling us to close the shade, and I still do it even today, close the shades when the sun is bright in the summer and get everything open in the winter, that kind of thing, the physics. And then in college, I studied plants and soil and, that kind of, I would say the understanding of sustainability from that standpoint. And then I've just gotten more interested in it as time has gone on. So I'm, really hoping to help us, all move forward together here in this regard. Who wants to go next? Kermit.
Okay, and why didn't you just call the names out as we go along to keep it moving? Thanks.
Well, you're vice chair, so I felt like I had to go you.
That's fine, that's fine. Yeah, my name's Kermit Hovey. I, as Christy mentioned, am currently, among other things, vice chair of the Middleton Sustainability Committee. One version of my story is since 2012, I've been working full-time on climate change and creation care advocacy, regardless of whether or not I'm paid. And this is one of many opportunities to do lots of hard work without getting paid. So basically, I also am active with 350 Wisconsin, which is a climate advocacy group working to make sure that we stop building infrastructure and shift to renewable energy, and Citizens Climate Lobby, another good group that's working to get federal legislation passed for climate action. And I've been on this committee since, I think this is my second term. Somebody help me. I think that's about right. And I'll pass the baton. Time's up.
I'll just go to the top of my stack here. Lisa.
hello, I'm Lisa Hanairo. I am the representative of City Council on this committee. I used to be the chair. This is my second, I just entered my second term. I was chair for 2 years. And then I decided to kind of follow in Kermit's footsteps and take on a really involved job with no pay, very low pay. And I decided to run for city council to try to really increase the volume on climate action. My background, I majored in geology in college and public policy in graduate school, and spent almost 30 years working on nuclear waste policy, specifically transportation and then eventually storage, and then also Great Lakes related policies and legislation, actually, with a group of Great Lakes legislators.
Thank you, Lisa. Deb, you're up next on my stack of people here.
Okay, Deb Weitzel, and I'm starting my third term on the Sustainability Committee. I was a science teacher, environmental studies and chemistry at Middleton High School. I retired in 2011, and I'm on the Wisconsin Sustainable Schools Board, the Friends of Pheasant Branch Board, and also the Back Earth Creek Watershed Association Board. Leave it at that.
Thank you. Mark, do you want to give a background? You're next.
As in Mark, me, staff?
That's you. We want to hear
Oh.
from you too.
I didn't know if there was a Mark on the committee. Well, I'm Mark Opitz. I'm the city planner. I'm staffing the meeting tonight. I've worked with the city for 23 years, and Kelly is away enjoying a much deserved holiday across the pond. And where she's probably enjoying some hot weather over there today, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
looks like it.
That reminds us all that we're all in this together all around the world with climate change.
You got it. Okay, Kelsey.
Hello, my name's Kelsey. I am a sort of newer member as well to the committee, and I went to UW. During my undergrad, they didn't have an environmental science major, but then halfway through while I was there, they started one, but I had time to just get a minor. We call them certificates, but every other university calls them a minor. So I got a minor in environmental studies, and then I went on to grad school for environmental resources. So I work in public health now, and I'm kind of missing that environmental piece in my life. So I joined the committee hoping that it would kind of fill that huge interest of mine. So welcome to the new folks.
Wonderful. Thank you. Dick.
My name's Dick Lathrop. I was a research limnologist for the DNR for 33 years. I have an honorary fellowship at the UW Center for Limnology, still ongoing. I was co-chair of the Wisconsin Initiative on Climate Change Impacts, getting that off the ground for our first assessment report. I had a less involved role, though still involved in the second assessment that came out. I was chair of the Madison Commission on the Environment back when Monona Terrace was approved, and we had the hearings on its environmental impacts. I've been on the committee for 4 years, and so I have mostly a water background, and I'm learning on everything else on the way.
Thank you. Shreya.
Hi everyone, my name is Shreya Ramesh. I will be the high school representative on this committee. This is my first term and I'm very excited to meet everyone. I'm on the Middleton School District Sustainability Committee, and I'm focusing on waste reduction. I'm also part of the high school's green team, and I will be in touch with the school's green team presidents and providing updates to you on the school's activities. And I'm very excited to work with you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, Laura.
Okay, hi, I'm Laura. I moved to Middleton about 3 years ago, right before the pandemic hit, and decided to use the pandemic as an opportunity to go back to school. So I'm getting my master's in sustainable management. I actually got one of those unofficial minors when I got my MBA so many years ago. They didn't offer, I was at Indiana University at the time, they didn't offer a environmental science minor, but I managed to get credit for taking some classes. So it's been a passion of mine for a long time, and I thought it was time, like so many of you others, to get back in it and get serious about it. So that's what I'm here for.
You. Scott, you are next.
Hi, I'm Scott Harrington. I own a landscape and tree service here in Middleton. I'm a ISA certified arborist, and I've written some grants for Arbor Day celebrations before. There's a lot of funding out there for things like that. Obviously have a lot of pretty decent access to a lot of wholesale nursery products, and background in education. So I like teaching. I've done some tree planting classes at the elementary schools. And also I build and design in the winter, sort of as a hobby slash side business, bat houses, nesting boxes for owls, and then bird houses, ranging from wrens to robins, songbirds, that sort of thing. So, yeah. Oh, and electric scooters also. I have an electric scooter, and I'm surprised I don't see more of them around here. But anyway, that's it.
You. I think that covers us unless I miss someone. If I miss someone, please speak up. Okay, I think we are good. So next item is staff report, Q&A. Anyone have questions on
I think you have public comments on the agenda.
Public
Chris.
Oh, I'm
comments.
sorry. Yes, I missed that one. Public comments, please. Thank you. Do we have public comments?
Yes. Am I audible? Robert Owen?
Yes.
I do have a brief comment. Good evening. My name is Robert Owen. I live at 1311 Middleton Street. I'm here tonight to express concern that the police department, utilities, and parks and recreation are seeking finance and common council approval tomorrow to make additional fossil fuel vehicle purchases for the city before the usual time of such purchases being approved, which is normally in the fall, like November. It may be that some of these agencies are attempting to evade life cycle costing of their fossil fuel vehicle equipment purchases, or perhaps even trying to avoid public comment on those purchases. That would concern me. I'm not sure what their motivation is here, but I think there's reason for concern. I'm particularly concerned about the proposed Ford Taurus purchase and the Ford Police Interceptor purchase. These cars, both for the police department, are expensive to operate in police service, especially the Police Interceptor. MPD interceptors typically use a lot of fuel. Net fuel economy in the 10 mile per gallon range is typical. With very high fuel prices now prevailing, the MPD's preference for ICE police cars is extremely expensive. These cars are also extremely expensive to maintain. EVs would be much cheaper to operate and maintain and would outlast ICE vehicles, meaning that they'd just be cheaper to own all the way around. As to other vehicles and equipment that are on the request by Public Works to the Finance Committee and the Common Council, that includes a couple of Gator type vehicles and a lawnmower. The city should never buy another ICE Gator type vehicle or an ICE lawnmower. These should always be electric. Public Works should should analyze life cycle costs before buying new ICE vehicles or equipment. There is one item in the request that the Public Works has made to the Finance Committee, which I don't object to, and that is the generator purchase by utilities. There's no alternative to a fueled generator at this time. So that's a reasonable request in view of the fact that apparently those items are back ordered. So thank you for considering my comment.
Thank you. Do we have other public comments? Kevin? Kevin, did you have a public comment? I saw your hand up and no, it's not.
Yes, sorry, I thought I had unmuted, but
Okay, no problem.
thanks. Yeah, the reason Robert and I and maybe Dean Cron are commenting tonight is because we found ourselves in the same place just about a year ago, where the city's starting to make decisions on vehicles for the next budget year without adequately considering electric and cleaner fuel options. So I have a quick background in a formal comment I'm going to make, because there are agenda items for this very issue on the Finance Committee and the Council tomorrow. And it's leapfrogging the Sustainability Committee, which is what we thought we had put in the pathway to making these decisions last year. So you may be aware that a Sustainability Committee-led effort by Dominic Bindle, who's devoted many hours to the development of a highly sophisticated tool to assist public works staff in evaluating much more climate-friendly options when replacement is considered. This tool, now known as the Fleet Asset Life Cycle Analysis, has been available to Public Works in one form or another for a couple of months. Dominic has done considerable work on it and volunteered scores of his hours of free time to its development. Kermit, Robert Owen, Dean Cron, and I have also participated. Just yesterday, Dominic updated the tool and shared it with Brad Hopwood, who's head of the city fleet. Kelly and Lisa were also on that email. Dominic plans to go over this tool and its use in detail with Brad sometime soon, as requested in yesterday's email. Also, for greater context regarding city fleet decisions, last year it was also determined that there's a Middleton Sustainability Purchasing Plan that exists, and that the Sustainability Committee should update it, that city departments would be heavily encouraged to use it, and that this would serve as one way to promote citywide accountability, particularly towards our climate goals. Together, the FALCA, the tool, and the Sustainable Purchasing Plan, along with better data gathered throughout city operations, reviewed by many of us as major steps toward those climate-related objectives. Unfortunately, the equipment proposed in tomorrow's meeting and rationale for its selection show very little progress from last year's budget decision making. Throughout that process, several of us, most notably Robert Owen, did considerable research and identified specific examples of available and much cleaner equipment that is also much cheaper in the long run. We cited dozens of existing and electric and biodiesel vehicles in Madison and other communities across the country that are already being used to reduce emissions and save money. We recommended postponing a discretionary purchase if cleaner technology versions would take longer to procure, or if those existing equipments could be used for a longer period of time. It's way past time to start making more forward-leaning choices and no longer make decisions to do the same way we always have. Let's use the tool now, and if Public Works needs assistance with research or any other aspect, we will be glad to help out. I'll be making a similar statement or sending it to my representative tomorrow if I can't be there in person. I realize this is not on the agenda, but it's an important topic. Thanks for your consideration
Thank you.
or interest.
Okay, thank
Dean
you.
has a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey, Dean.
Okay,
Hi, hi, Mark.
hi.
And hello, everybody. My name is Dean Cron. I live at 6406 Stonefield Road in Middleton in District 2. And rather than repeat things that Kevin and Bob Owen have put forward, I also am very concerned about the apparent plan to move forward with a rapid plan for purchasing internal combustion engine vehicles and machinery because people are predicting that there will be a longer supply chain interval for obtaining electric vehicles than for obtaining ICE vehicles. But while that may be a problem of months or even a year this year, we know that if we purchase those ICE vehicles, we will be spewing carbon into the atmosphere for 6 to 10 years with the vehicles they're going to purchase. If you're really worried that you have vehicles that are on their last year, let's either apportion more money for maintenance next year in case those fears actually come true, which again, predicting the future is dangerous, except for when you know you're going to pollute 6 to 10 years out. I can promise you that's going to happen if you buy those ICE vehicles. Or we rent vehicles, but we don't spend money that results in pollution for 6 to 10 years. The other thing I'm very interested in on the agenda tonight is hearing about what I'm hoping will be changes in homeowners association rules. As the rules work in the Stonefield area, I am compelled to get a plan for solar panels for my house approved by the homeowners architectural review board, because really they're putting appearance before function and before saving the environment. And I would like to see us change that around, where we encourage people to save the environment. And if the appearance isn't the way you thought it would be in 1975 or 1987 or 1996, that's really small potatoes in comparison. So forgive my flippancy on that, but I will end my remarks there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's all the hands I see. Do we have any other public comments? Not that I can see. Okay. Anyway,
Christie,
go ahead.
I'm
Carl.
sorry, I'm thinking this might be a relevant point of information, and maybe Mark and you can clarify if I may be misinterpreting things. But I think Kevin in his public comments mentioned that the agenda did not include talking about the fleet. And I'd just like to point out, and again, typically we're not supposed to engage with public comments, but because it is on the agenda and a misstatement was made that it wasn't, at least by my reading of the agenda, we do have a fleet subgroup work plan update, which is germane or basically opens up conversation for that item. So we if anybody does have further comments on the committee to engage that, we can revisit that at that point in the agenda. And Christie, if you and Mark have a different reading of our agenda in that regard, please feel free to clarify or correct, but that's my understanding at the current time.
That's helpful, Kermit. That's great. I think you're right. Anybody else have a different view of that?
I guess if I may, as staff, I would caution you, I don't know how you handle work plan updates, but I would imagine that those of you who are working on projects are reporting on what you're working on for each of these subgroups. If it's regarding a specific agenda item on the council agenda that's not on your agenda, then I guess I would feel less comfortable having you discuss that.
So we'll have a borderline to kind of pay attention to. But
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kermit, thank you for pointing out that I missed the very important public comments. Thank you. If we're sure we're done with public comments, then we can go to staff report Q&A. Who has Q&A? No one apparently today that I can see. Okay. Oh, Lisa, thank you.
Well, since the person who could give the A is not here.
Right.
Not sure how helpful this will be, but I was wondering, the Sustained Dane breakfast on July 26th. I was wondering if anyone knows whether that is Zoom or in person, and if it's Zoom, is that something that we could attend, or do we have to like have our own membership in Sustained Dane? Mark, maybe you know the answer to that.
If somebody else knows, I do not.
Yeah. We have a city membership with Sustained Dane, as I understand it, and I was talking to somebody on staff with Sustain regarding membership issues, and she acknowledged that we did. So you can attend under the city membership if you want to. And my understanding is that they've started doing in-person events. The last one was in person, if I recall correctly. And so I believe this one will also.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to be there to support Kelly if that's possible, but I don't think I'd be able to attend if it's in person. So we'll
It
see.
says, I'm just looking at the website, Lisa, and it says venue, Madison Public Library.
Yep,
Oh, okay.
that was
Should
the
be
last
like-
meeting that
Yeah, it looks to me like it's in person.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other questions, comments? Okay, next we can go on to the Sustainable City Plan Review and Recommendations of approval.
Lisa, would you like me to stop sharing?
Well, I can take it away from you, I believe, if it's, there it is. Okay.
I did multiple shares, so you.
Okay. So can you see the plan?
Yep.
Actually, I should probably be showing the comment response document first, but we'll go through the plan quickly. It's a short plan. I apologize for not getting this to you all like 2 weeks ago, but the combination of Celebration and just everything else, vacation, staycation, and Celebration all rolled into one, made it a super busy last couple of weeks. So but I kept the comments or the changes showing so everyone could see what is new. I'm going to come back to this part because this is a little more responding to specific comments. But not a whole lot changed because the most popular comment was to point out that, you know, we don't have money. We don't have money. We don't have the staff to do this. And that is understandable. I get it. I agree. But our purpose in writing this plan, it's similar to the original plan, which, you know, set out some goals that we feel as a committee are important for us to achieve. And I think by drawing from our city policy on achieving 100% renewable energy by the year 2050, and by pulling out items from the comp plan, we have positioned ourselves to be able to make the case that council has already approved what we are saying needs to be done. All we've done is rearrange things and put them in, you know, come up with a chunk of actions from the comp plan that need to be carried out. So I think we're in a good place to argue that this is what council directed the city to do last year. We're just saying, here's what we want to be doing in the next 3 years, specifically related to our goal. So when it comes to either we don't have money to do this, or we should be putting in estimates of how much money we're going to need to do this. Those are comments I don't feel we need to incorporate into this document, because this is supposed to be a higher level plan. The original one did not include cost estimates. I went back and double checked. And so my response in the common response document is just, we understand, we agree, we need to know what the costs are before we embark on anything. And we will certainly find those costs out as we go through the next 3 years or 2.5 years now trying to implement it. Please, someone's got some sound problems. You don't know what it is. The other thing that I saw several times was be careful not to overcommit or overpromise. And my response to that was, we don't, I even looked for every instance of the word incentive, to explore providing incentives. We don't say anywhere that, this is coming, we're going to do it. It's all about exploring the options, seeing what we can do. And I think we all recognize that council is ultimately the one who will make the decision as to whether or not, A, to accept the plan, and B, in the next 2.5 years, to come up with funding to pay for actions that we included in this plan. So because there were a lot of philosophical questions being posed, we didn't have to incorporate a whole lot of changes to the plan. Some of the ones that I did incorporate, a lot of people pointed out that the transportation, I'm sorry if I'm making anyone dizzy here, couple typos corrected, but people have pointed out that they wanted to see more on food. They thought the food chapter should be beefed up. Again, we were very intentional about making this all about energy. There were only a couple of exceptions, and those were
Excuse me, Lisa,
yes?
You said something, you're sorry for making us dizzy, but the image on the screen hasn't changed at all. Are you trying to move us through the document, and is it not?
Can you see food right now?
Nope.
Oh, I can. That's weird.
Well, let me see on my screen.
I can't.
Let me see if I have a glitch here. Sometimes.
I can't see there, Mr.
I
Hovey.
can't see there. It just says introduction, the very beginning.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Well, that's
weird.
Maybe
let me
Okay, let me
unshare
stop
screen share.
sharing and
Yeah.
I'll stop and I'll come back.
Well,
Well,
mine says I'm
it's-
viewing Mark Oppett's screen. Can let's
Yeah,
see here.
now you're viewing Mark's, but
Oh,
Well,
it's strange that Mark could see what I
there
was
we
sharing.
go.
But
There we go.
how's that?
Okay.
All right,
Now
so,
I'm view-
all right, so
Well,
Lisa, you could not take the screen away from me. I was able to see what you were doing, but nobody else could see, apparently.
Oh, okay.
The power of the host.
I was sharing with only Mark. Sorry. Okay, so I'm glad I didn't make anyone sick with my scrolling.
I don't know. I feel a little queasy myself. But
It does make me a little woozy sometimes. Anyway, so back to the intentional focus on energy. So we had included in the original draft a couple of actions under land use and then a handful under water because people brought those up, the committee members did. But we made it clear that we're not proposing that the committee, the sustainability committee, take on these actions. We are saying these are really important and they're from the comp plan. Everything's from the comp plan for the most part, comprehensive plan for the newer members. But we think these would be good candidates for other committees, commissions and boards to take on sort of as part of this climate action goal of ours. So I added, since we did get some comments from the committees who reviewed this, we got some comments about food. I pulled out a couple of actions from the comprehensive plan related to gardening specifically. And then later on, I'll come back to that. Transportation was another big one. where, I mean, and it's a, you know, it's a no-brainer. I added a quote from the Dane County Climate Action Plan about 30%, approximately 30% of all the carbon emissions released in Dane County are coming from the transportation sector. So it's understandable that people would bring this up. So again, I restated that we're going to be focusing on energy, but there are other committees, commissions, and boards that can take on these actions from the comprehensive plan that relate to transportation and addressed some of the comments that people were making. And I always emphasize that we would be happy to lend our assistance to others as they embark on these actions. And Mark, if this is what I was talking to you about today, I think the updating of the bike and ped plan is, you know, one of the first ones, although it seems like maybe the Vision Zero action plan might need to come before that. So those are two sections where I beefed up the number of actions, but again, they're not for us. They're just our recommendation for other committees to look at those. And then just a mention of the Renew the Blue plan specifically as part of the Yahara Clean Compact. Then I took the liberty of changing one recommendation and adding two others. This one used to say, talking about specifically land use and water related actions. And since I added the ones about food and transportation, I just changed it to say, follow up on actions that can reduce Middleton's carbon footprint, because those actions can help with that. Hosting Celebration last week ago Sunday made me mindful of the ratcheting down of this federal tax credit. So I just, you know, this is obviously for the committee to decide whether to keep this in there, but I don't know the extent to which we contact our federal officials, our elected officials in the Senate, and Congress, and even the president to say, hey, we want that 26% federal tax credit to continue. It's really important for what we're doing. And then we belong to the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. I noted in Kelly's update, I forget the acronym, but it's the Wisconsin WLGCC or something like that, local government.
Wisconsin Local Government Climate Coalition.
Yes. So
say it five times fast.
If is there anything that we as a city can do to make sure that the associations that we belong to are prioritizing things like extending these tax credits? They, you know, they'll still be there next year, but they are going to ramp down, I think, to 21% or 22% for solar installations. And then because, again, Celebration put this front of mind for me, and we had talked about this before, the idea of having council clarify, and really this is mostly for educational purposes, for the homeowners association leadership and also for the homeowners, just pass a resolution affirming the city's support for solar installations and making it clear that HOAs have limited ability. Now, I don't want to talk about this in too much detail because Dean brought it up during the comments, but if we decide not to keep this particular recommendation in the plan, that's fine. We can come back to this in August and talk about that separately, separate from the plan. So those were the changes to the sections, you know, the chapters on different topics. Now let's go back just briefly to the intro, you know, the front matter kind of stuff. It was suggested, I thought we did a good job explaining that we understand sustainability covers a lot and we're just focusing on energy. But it was suggested that we underscore that even more. So I added another sentence or two. And then there was a little bit of, I didn't mean to cause any offense, I'll say, in using our common phrasing that we have in this committee, that we've been the green box in the org chart. But I recognize that there are parts of our city government that do a really great job being part of this team trying to combat climate change. I asked the committee, I think if I do this, you'll be able to see. Nope, you're not going to be able to see it. Darn it, I wanted to show you the other thing. Anyway, my question in the comment response document was for how to phrase this acknowledgement that a lot of people are working toward the same goal without greenwashing. And I have to say the situation with the fleet is what makes me think we're not all showing up with our best selves trying to solve this problem. There's still a lot of clinging to tradition and habits. But I want to give credit where credit's due, but I don't want it to make it sound like we're all doing 100%, because I just don't think that's the case. I recognize even in myself, there's more I can do. You know, I can be like Kermit and ride my bike ever. And I will one of these days, but I am doing other stuff. So anyway, so I kind of toned down we're the green box in the org chart. And then I did want to acknowledge the comments that we had gotten from people saying, hey, we don't have money. Hey, this is going to cost money. And so I just made it clear, yeah, we get it. It's just that we really think this is what needs to be done. And again, we're trying to implement a policy that council established and a plan that council approved. So I think that is it. I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to switch over to my comment response document. And then I'd like to hear from all of you once I can find this document, which I can't. Hold on. Zoom, why do you make this so hard? Maybe I have to do this. All right, now I can do it. Share. Here it is. Okay. So I think just 3 areas where I couldn't figure out how to resolve the comment. And one is in the background. It's where, and I did kind of change this already, but this is considered wordsmithing to recognize that other committees have engaged historically in sustainability work. Including the successes and examples to show that it's all hands on deck throughout city. I think it's many hands on deck. I'm not sure it's all. But I also, at this point in the plan's evolution, I don't think we're ready to start putting in success stories. That's kind of the intention, is as we go along, we won't wait until the next update of the plan to incorporate these. We will gather success stories and post them on the web. This is something Kelly and I have been talking about, like wanting to showcase some, case studies on our website. So I didn't want to add anything there, because if you add a success story in one chapter, you have to do it in others, and that's just going to take a lot of time without much value added to the intention of the plan, which is to start working on projects. So I would appreciate it if you would read through the introductory section that I changed and let me know if I gave appropriate credit, but didn't go too far to exaggerate. Close your eyes. I'm scrolling now. Okay, here, the next one is under greenhouse gas. Yes, go ahead, Kermit.
Lisa, when you said introductory section, could you give us like page reference or
It
something
would be
so we know
pages
what
1
where to
and 2.
focus? Okay, got it.
1 and 2. And it's anywhere you see that like teal text, that's what I changed. Okay, the second area I need some guidance from committee and staff is on the greenhouse gas emissions chapter. I made a note that, so we talked about the resilient landscapes, and then There's another action to support and maintain native plantings, restoration practices, and broaden invasive species control beyond conservancies and parks by collaborating with state and local agencies as well as private landowners. When I read that, I zero in on maintain native plantings. And so I'm thinking that's a city action on city land. And that's why the text says this action is similar to the previous one. The main difference is that residents would participate in the Resilient Landscapes Initiative, while this action would involve mainly city-owned lands. So my comment was just that, you know, the action in the comp plan, by saying maintaining plantings, it makes it sound to me like it's the city doing it. And where would the city do that except on its own lands? And so I'm not sure how to resolve this one. Mark, do you have any insight into this?
I do not, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because I just can't, I can't envision, like I literally cannot wrap my mind around this applying to rail corridors and state-owned land or residential land. Yeah, so anyway, that
Because
was,
if the focus is not city-owned land, which is what this says, then I'm not sure what mechanism there is other than to, with our design review process, when we, you know, I guess a couple ideas come to mind. One is we always approve, the city approves new developments and the landscaping plans as part of new developments. Is that what you're getting at, Lisa? Is that when we encourage commercial developments to, with their landscaping, to use more native plantings?
that could work. I mean, that could be it. I guess what I still keep going back to the idea of maintaining native plantings. And when I read beyond conservancies and beyond conservancies and parks, I mean, I hear that as saying besides in conservancies and parks. Like we
So
don't do it in these areas, we're going to do it beyond those areas like City Hall. And that's why I use City Hall as an example.
So then I would suggest you could, we're overhauling our zoning ordinance, as I think most of you know. And as part of that, we have landscaping standards. And so that would be an area where with the zoning code, we could develop some language that promotes the use of native plantings as opposed to monocultural grasses and what have you. So maybe that's getting along the lines of what you're thinking about.
Well, I appreciate that, Mark, and that's one of the many things we'll have to be watching for when the zoning code revised one comes out. I'm just kind of wondering, since it does not apply to city lands and is sort of nebulous, I almost wonder if this action should come out.
So I'm sorry, Lisa, I'm trying to track. So is there a public comment that came in saying, hey, you shouldn't say this because it's going to force the city to be responsible for all kinds of plantings all over the place? Or is this something?
No, the comment was, that would have been a good comment to get. The comment was, that's not what this item, this action from the comp plan was intended to do. It wasn't, that's not what it means. It means something different. It means this, Frederick Law Olmsted's idea of green fingers extending into and through the community. So it's a lot more nebulous than I interpreted it to be, just reading it in the comp plan.
Okay. And so you're saying the way you phrased it when you drafted it, makes it sound like the city is going to maintain stuff
it makes it sound, the way I envisioned it is just how it's written in the plan. We've got resilient landscapes, which is going to be an effort to get homeowners like me to convert our lands to prairie or native plantings. And complementing that would be the city doing the same thing on its lands, just like how the library has native plantings and City Hall, but there are other places where that could be extended, or maybe even look at parks where, if they're not being used for athletic fields, are there areas in parks where it could be converted? Or is there green space that like nobody's ever walking on except to mow? But they're not playing baseball or anything on there. So the idea was we've got resilient landscapes on page 11, I think still resilient landscapes for homeowners, and then for city-owned lands, this other support and maintain native plantings. That makes sense to me, but if the idea of the second one, support and maintain native plantings, is not really on city property, but more like encouraging very specific, what is it, residential, state-owned and rail corridor lands to adopt native plantings, the impact is going to be a little less, I think. And so I'm tempted to just take this one out of the comp, or out of the sustainable city plan. It's still in the comp plan, but we would just say, oh, never mind, that's not what we thought this one was going to do.
Couldn't you just say that you wanted to encourage and promote it? I mean, like, we don't have any control over it, but just marketing that, we're doing this as a city, we encourage homeowners, and we don't have control here, so we're not going to be maintaining, but if we could still encourage and promote it, you could still ask me to convert my land or something.
Or even support, promote, and allow, because sometimes, there are ordinances and zoning code provisions which effectively disallow or prevent native plantings. I mean, maybe that isn't currently operating that much in Middleton, but I just think, building on Laura's comment, support, promote, and allow native plantings, restoration. And I'm looking at page 11 now, the direct sentence that reads, support and maintain native plantings, and just saying support and maintain to support, promote, and allow is one thought.
But we can't do that. We're taking the actions verbatim from the comp plan.
Oh, is that your strategy? Okay.
Yeah, we're not making any changes to anything in bold with the notation after it. So this is Green City chapter. It actually should be 4C. That is lifted right out of the comp plan. So we're not changing those.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take up too much.
footnote.
I don't want to take up too much time on this one. I love the idea of these pocket prairies. I mentioned the Camille Corner Conservancy, which is in my district. I love the idea of the city supporting efforts by neighborhoods to develop their own little, take the land that's not being used and turn it into something beautiful. I'll just, with your indulgence, I guess I'll just try to wordsmith it to tone down the mistaken impression that this is on city-owned land, and maybe just emphasize, like you were saying, the encouraging and supporting and educating. Okay.
That sounds good. One thing that comes to mind on that is, I know, for example, ATC, for example, the company that owns the power lines, they have some, I'm not an expert on this, so I'm going to misspeak a little bit here, I'm sure, but they have some, let's say, right-of-ways or land, and they are actually offering grants for cities, I believe it is, to put native plantings in those areas. So they need the partnership. So, maybe just to your point about encouraging and, promoting something like that is great.
Okay, great. And then there are two more. Try to go a little more. Okay, there's one. Oh, okay, a phrasing. So these next two are both in water. And we got this comment from more than one committee about, although they were both water related people. So the comment is just that the vision, by saying that Middleton ensures that neither existing nor new development is vulnerable to flooding, that is impossible. It's It's always going to be vulnerable. There's nothing we can do to ensure it. And so I want the committee's guidance on this. You know, we've gone round and round about what the purpose of a vision statement is. You know, it doesn't describe where we are now. It describes a state that we want to get to. And when this actually came up on the Water Resources Management Commission meeting when I'm a member of that. And I was not alone among the members in saying, we don't want to use a word like strive or works to do something, because, you know, the whole idea of a vision is to try to be bold and really go for something. And if we say we strive to do it, it's really easy to check the box and be like, yep, we did it, you know, whereas like I'd rather fail to bring about a state where we ensure there isn't flooding than succeed in striving to prevent flooding. Does that make sense? There's not much to be, you know, there's not much to celebrate if you just strive to do something. If you fail in your mission to ensure that there's no flooding, at least you tried. And I likened it to the keeping harmful substances out of the water. Is it impossible to keep harmful substances out of the water? Yes. Would we take that out of the vision statement or change it to say only allow some harmful substances into the water? No, we want that to be an absolute. That's why we put it in there. But again, this is a committee document, so I want to do what makes the committee comfortable. And since we're talking about the vision statement, I'm going to scroll down and show you this last one. This one came in, I think, yesterday or today, so it is admittedly late. But this is about the vision statement too. The comment is that it's inaccurate because it says we would balance water used with water returned to the aquifer. And then it goes on to explain that that's not actually the case. So my question to the committee and the staff is, since it's a vision statement, it's okay if it doesn't accurately describe our current situation. But if this is a physically impossible state to achieve, like it, you know, what Warren is describing here, that all of the water that goes into that is recharged within Middleton is going to emerge as surface water. Like if it's impossible to achieve the state, then should we revise it?
As far as the balance question, I don't see that it says that balance has to somehow occur within Middleton's boundaries. If that's the point of the critique, well, we just don't have enough surface area to absorb enough water to do that, or whatever the particular mechanism that's being claimed isn't within Middleton's control. I think then Middleton has a responsibility to by this vision to ensure that it happens, even if it happens by virtue of negotiations within the county, with other communities, with the state, to make sure that it happens, you know, on net, that there is a balance. Because if it is unsustainable to be drawing from the aquifer more than is being recharged into the aquifer. And so I think as a community, want to stand against that and do our part, at least, however complicated that may be, or however political that might become as we negotiate with other entities to ensure it happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is a regional issue, and we don't want to be infiltrating polluted water, particularly water that's high in salt. And that would be more of a source of our water to infiltrate, which is urban areas. So I think it's a regional issue that we don't want to be mining our groundwater faster than what regionally we can resupply. And certainly Madison's got a huge cone of depression, of which Middleton is on the edge of, underneath the city in both the shallow aquifer and the deep aquifer. But I've heard the people from the Wisconsin Geological Natural History Survey say they don't really feel from a regional sense, at least with the existing land uses, excuse me, that we have, that we are in a real problem of depleting our aquifer. So it's a local issue, and I don't think the city, the point is well taken. We can't resupply in Middleton itself, in the city, the water that we take out. And the resupply could be heavily polluted. Just like on the Beltline, that they, some years ago, MG&E built the cogen plants and taking more water out of Lake Mendota to run the cogen facility. And MG&E had to offset that with infiltration water elsewhere. Well, they infiltrated over by Odana Golf Course water from the Beltline, and it turned out in the wintertime that was so polluted with salt that it was really messing up the groundwater there. So I think the point that the Water Resources Management Committee made makes sense. That is not to state specifically we're going to replace everything, every drop we take out within the city limits.
Right.
So I agree with Kermit. I think that's what you were saying in a way, Kermit.
Yeah. Yeah, basically I'm saying the vision does not say Middleton has to replenish it within its geographic boundaries.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it says we do need to attend to the balance.
Yeah, when we're part of a bigger
right.
regional thing that Dane
Exactly,
County has to be aware of.
So-
The only other thing I want to make a point, Lisa, is that I complained about this in the comp plan as O&M. The very first sentence says Middleton has an abundance of clean water. We don't have an abundance of clean water. We have an abundance of water because most of our surface water is actually polluted enough that I wouldn't call it clean. I'm not saying it's hyper dirty, but we have an abundance of water, and then it goes on to say, and especially our potable groundwater. And potable means that it is clean enough to drink. So I really don't like the word clean there, but maybe that came from the comp plan because I objected to it. It still went in, but anyway, comment.
Well, the vision statements are not from the comp plan, so we can tinker with those. And I'm sorry, my dog's gonna bark and there's nothing I can do about it. We could take out the word clean and just say Middleton has an abundance of water, including surface water and potable groundwater resources. And keep the balance in there. And then in the text that follows, I can make the point that we're talking about regionally. I could even bring in some of the wording provided by the chair of Water Resources Management Commission and say that, for balance, we're talking about regionally, making, contributing to that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we want to support policies that provide
Right.
regional water balance. So whatever thing the county is doing, which is land use out in the outlying area, so we as a city want to support policies that provide regional balance to our groundwater system.
Mhm.
Okay. So, and then that just leaves this question of ensuring versus strives or works to.
Commits to. Meaning if we can't ensure it, that doesn't mean that we can't commit to, like you said, working towards the action. We are committed to achieving this vision. We may fail, like you said, but we're not guaranteeing, we're not ensuring that it happens, but we're committed to, make it happen.
So, and Middleton is committed to preventing flooding.
Sure that it's committed
really
to
prevent it.
prevent,
Well,
committed
first of all, first of all, we're updating, and maybe Mark knows better on this than anybody. We are trying to update our 100-year floodplain maps, taking into account new climate change projections for 100-year precipitation events. And communities that were built with old floodplain maps are now vulnerable to the new ones. And maybe, you know, 100-year flood, we might even say, even that might occur once every 10 years because we've had them. So we don't want to be saying we're going to ensure anything because the future is full of uncertainty. And so we really need to soften this somehow. I don't think we have any way. We have to be vigilant on this and propose that new developments are aware of the challenges of climate change and that floodplain maps are evolving and that all measures should be put in to help protect against flooding events, but we're not going to ensure. There's no way.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second sentence in our vision plan then would read, Middleton keeps harmful substances out of all water resources and is committed to preventing flooding of new or existing development.
Committed to, no, I don't think committed to protecting works there. Preventing, yeah. We can't prevent. It's climate change. We're not gonna be able to do that. So I think what Dick just said, committed, well, how did you say it, Dick? Because I liked your wording. What you just said.
I don't remember. But for example, let's take the Pheasant Branch corridor. You know, they're building the new infrastructure to handle a certain size rain event, but that was like 5 or 6 inches. But we had an 11-inch event, and we can't prevent that. So we have to be, you know, I say something like vigilant and working towards mitigating, or maybe not even mitigating.
Minimizing?
Minimizing, yeah. We're going to want to try to have all development acutely aware of these challenges because climate change is causing the frequency of certain size events to become bigger and more frequent. And the 100-year floodplain maps, I met with the assistant city engineers some months ago to go over some ideas about how could we detain more water upstream. And he was showing me the 100-year floodplain maps that have not been approved yet, but there's areas that people have built in that are now in the floodplain, the new 100-year floodplain. And I'm curious what planning department, Mark, what's planning department doing about all these new floodplain maps and what are the implications? Because we should have a good feeling of that for anything we want to state here about what we're going to do or not do as a vision.
We started coordinating. I've met with Eric Sorensen, our assistant engineer, as well as Eileen Kelly, our former city planner, who was our floodplain administrator. So we had a meeting a month or two ago, and it's a work in progress. We're also going to be updating our, as you noted, our zoning ordinance, and the floodplain is a component of that.
Okay, so back to the specific wording, I'm still at a loss. I jotted down something, but it's starting to get longer. Middleton keeps harmful substances out of all water resources and is committed to minimizing the impacts of flooding. It could stop there, or it could go on. Minimizing the impacts of flooding resulting from more frequent and stronger rain events.
Lisa, those are two really disparate ideas, and I'm thinking they don't belong in the same thing. I mean, they're both water, but keeping harmful substance out like PFAS and stuff like that, you could go into the airports, and airport, are they using foam you know, foam materials, or did they use? And the fire department and any other companies, that's and it isn't all PFAS, but it's also salt and a whole lot of things. But that's a totally different issue.
Yeah.
Totally different than worrying about, you know, flooding, and that's water quantity. And yeah.
It's different, but this is the water chapter, and this is the vision for taking care of water. So we want to avoid destroying the water for potability and usability, and we want to avoid having the water destroy us. But
Well,
it's still water.
Well, I would say put it in a different box, you know, something related to maintaining good water quality, particularly of our potable groundwater resources, and have a vision related to that. And then get on to the ideas of flooding.
You muted yourself, Dick.
Sorry, making developments aware of these new floodplain maps and the new challenges of climate change, where the frequency of flooding events is increasing, is a vision that we're going to have to do just to keep people apprised of these emerging challenges.
What about instead of Middleton keeps harmful substances out of all water, how about Middleton works to reduce and minimize harmful substances, something like that?
I think we're opening it up. We're getting a bigger conversation going. It's like that sentence was, or that clause of the sentence was previously approved, settled.
Okay.
I don't think Lisa is saying we got negative comments about that, but the comments are about the insurer. And so I think I'm inclined to say, let's focus on that second clause. And I think it's okay to have an aspirational, bold vision for water quality and have that in this vision statement about water. But I do hear the problem about insurer, because that starts to sound, I'm anticipating that there is some concern about potential legal liability that would inure to the city if we had documents saying, yeah, we're going to make sure you guys aren't going to ever have a flood. And I don't know if that's really the issue. I mean, maybe Mark, you have some perspective from history and legal issues.
Yeah, can I pipe in? How about going back so I can see that sentence, please? Okay, how about put a period. Middleton keeps harmful substances out of all water resources, period. Middleton also works towards minimizing the effects of flooding in not only existing development, but new development or something. I mean, we have to be working towards it, but we can't ensure it, because we're 100-year floodplain, I think, is now a 5.6 inch rainstorm. It's gone up half an inch or something. But 11-inch rainstorm occurs like it did in 2018, we're toast. So we have to be equivocating on what we can or can't do.
Yeah. Synonyms for ensure are make certain, which to the point here, we
Works
can't
towards minimizing the impacts of flooding on it. Yeah, I could live with that.
Can you live with it if I do this? I know they're separate ideas, but that's kind of like making the vision statement sort of compact and pithy is good. But
okay, well, you're going to change right away. You're going to get rid of the balances water used with water return to the aquifer, right? Because we've already talked about that. That's more of a regional thing. So you've got to change that whole.
No, I think I thought we moved on from that.
Yeah, I thought I was going to explain in this text
Right.
that we're talking about this regional balance, but you know,
And Middleton has a responsibility to work for it, or to ensure,
Okay, okay. Okay, I'm okay, as long as, I think the language you're trying to say is just make it as succinct as possible. You're going from one topic to another. Water quality, and then you're putting the same sentence, water quantity, really is what
Yep.
you're trying to do there. I think what you got there is at least better than what we had.
okay. All right, well, that's good. And then,
Lisa, could I mention something? Can
Sure.
you go back to that? It seems to me, when we have a vision statement, it should be an attainable vision. And Middleton keeps harmful substances out of all water resources. That's not a, I mean, people use fertilizers on their lawn that goes down to the low point, and Graver Pond is green in August. Middleton doesn't, and it won't be able to keep harmful stuff like salt. That's another one, or PFAS. So I liked when we talked about reducing versus we're going to keep it out, because I just don't think that's attainable for a vision.
I hear you, Deb, but I would also say, personally, I don't think 100% clean renewable energy by the year 2050 is attainable. But that doesn't stop me
It's your
from
vision.
thinking
Yeah.
that's got to be the goal, that,
Right.
you know, we have to act as if
Yeah.
we're going to attain it, and then maybe we'll get close.
a vision is just beyond reach, otherwise it doesn't motivate action. You have to move.
Yeah, so I just want to point out, we're at 7:52 and Mark is here and we don't want to have to force Mark to come back. Um, so I just want to think about that he is next on the agenda, for Complete Streets, and we definitely want to hear from him, and we absolutely want to be done by 8:30. And
Okay.
so
I-
We can move on. I will just ask the committee, because we do need to decide, like, if this is going to go before council at the August 16th meeting, I need to be able to get it to the members of council approved by the sustainability committee before then, the Thursday before then, and ideally even farther out, because we want them to be able to read it. It's a short plan compared to the others that council has been asked to approve, but still I want to be able to give them enough time. So can I ask members of the committee to please contact me with your thoughts on these additional recommendations, whether we need them now, whether they should just be taken out. And then any final comments on the text that has changed. Let's not tinker with anything else unless it's a typo. The text that has changed. I know I have to update this information on the committee members, because I'll include even the members. I want to include the new members too, but also keep the former ones on because they helped during the previous term. But if everyone could get their comments to me by 1 week from today, that would be good. I don't know how we'll get the approval of the committee unless we have a special. Well, we could have a special committee meeting just to approve the comp or the sustainable city plan, or we could do something that I don't like to do, but it's a possibility. We could approve it, get it on the agenda for August 16th council meeting, and approve it at our August 15th committee meeting.
Well, I just gotta say, Lisa, you've done quite a job shepherding this thing along to here, because quite frankly, this is so much better than what our 2010 sustainability plan is. I mean, we've outgrown that. And, we could nitpick little things, which I've done. I'll take some blame there. But in general, when I read through it, I didn't have any real serious problems with it. And I think other people, like the council, are going to have their own issues. So I'm willing to say, let's get this moved out of us. You've been working on it for so long. I'd be willing to put out a motion if the chair thinks we should, saying that we approve it in concept and we want the council to look at it.
I would definitely support that.
Thank you, Dick.
And if I may suggest, Lisa and the rest of you, if there are issues that come up, at Lisa, as you work on this further, you could still bring it up on the 15th, but then have the draft in the council packet for them to review.
I like that idea. Okay, well, I'll second Dick's motion.
Okay.
All in favor?
So the motion is to approve in concept, reflecting the discussion you had at this meeting, or how would you like to phrase it? I
Yeah.
don't want words.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve with the additional comments and corrections and suggestions made at tonight's meeting. We approve the draft sustainability plan out of our committee to go on for further review, for review by the Common Council.
Okay. How about this? So the motion is to approve the draft sustainability plan with the understanding that it will be edited further to incorporate the comments and suggestions made at this meeting.
Sounds good to me.
That's sort of what I heard you say restated.
Yeah. Gonna have a second, Christie, you gonna ask for it or maybe?
Oh, sure, I thought Lisa seconded.
Yeah, I seconded it,
Yeah.
and I still second it with Mark clarifying what the wording is.
Yeah, I don't think you should be seconding it, Lisa, because you wrote it. How about getting somebody else's?
Yeah.
All right, I'll second it. I'll second it.
Okay. You got that, Mark?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Aye. Passes.
thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Do we need a
Mark.
motion to extend?
Oh, right. Are we doing that? What did we decide last time? Thank you, Deb. I was trying to figure out, did we agree last time that we don't need a motion to extend till 8:30 sharp?
Yeah,
Did
I
we
think we
agree?
agreed that it was going to be 2 hours and we're done, so we didn't have to do that each time.
That's what I
Please.
I wasn't
That
there.
rings a
Okay.
bell.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, all right. But thank you, Deb, for holding me to the rules because I need that help. So thank you. Okay. Mark, you are up.
Yeah, and what I'm noticing is that my memo is it's either not in here or it's out of order.
Oh,
I guess I should have looked at the packet before. Oh, here it is. Okay, okay, got it. So page 58 of your packet, the city has for a number of years now been talking about complete streets and the importance of them, and we've been finally putting together a resolution to adopt a policy of complete streets, which is what a lot of communities around the country have been doing. And so in your packet, I have a memo that as well as minutes from the two committees that had previously reviewed the draft that the Bike Transit Committee prepared. And I also encouraged you to, and hopefully at least some of you have had a chance to look at the complete and green streets policy that Smart Growth America, the elements of a complete streets policy that Smart Growth America put together. And then Cleveland Heights, Ohio has a highly regarded example of that called the complete green streets policy. And so the biggest issue that's come up in both the Bike Transit Committee and the two committees that have reviewed it, Public Works and Planning Commission, is how do we track performance measures and assess our progress in a regular way? And I know Sustainability Committee over the years, and listening to your discussion tonight, always focuses on that as well, making sure that we can have measurable results. So this is your first opportunity to take a look at this. It's really meant to be your main opportunity because we'd like to get this one adopted as well. But I will just leave it in this, that is the background, and leave it to you for discussion now.
And Mark, excuse me, just to clarify, is this going to Common Council tomorrow or
No,
in 2 weeks?
no, not
or
at all.
2 months or what's the?
No, so this resolution, Bike Transit Committee considered in In May, they referred it to 2 committees, and we wanted you to have a chance to look at it as well. I suggested, based on some additional feedback I got from committees as well as additional research, I suggested we overhaul the policy by having it more closely follow this model, or the model template, if you will, from Smart Growth America. So I was planning to tinker with it further. I had planned to do that before this meeting, but I've been dealing with various legal matters affecting the planning department. I'll leave it at that. So I haven't had the chance to overhaul this, but I wanted to have your input here before I overhaul it. It being the resolution.
Okay.
Right here. So there's some background language and then the resolved clauses where the meat is. And, you know, we had some of the feedback we got was, you know, there was some people that said we shouldn't have shall statements, they should be should. You know, our engineering staff tend to think more along those lines. You know, so we are getting conflicting guidance, if you will. I can show you what the other committees. Here we go. Public Works Committee, you know, talked about this being subjective language. They want performance measures, but what should those be? What's, you know, we want to make sure sometimes things are aspirational, not measurable, etc. Planning Commission, that wasn't Planning Commission. Planning Commission talked about that the plan lacks specificity for particular neighborhoods. You know, I would kind of think of what the sustainability plan that you're working on. You know, I don't think that you're always focusing on specific neighborhoods either. You're really looking at citywide policy framework, right? So, so comments are kind of across the board. I don't know how else to provide the background here. I just wanted your reaction at this point. Did anybody look at the model language? I mean, the challenge here is you had a huge document to review previous to this one, which of course is the focus of your work, and I totally understand it. So the timing maybe of this is not good, and I don't mind coming back again if that's what it takes. You know, I don't have an August 16th deadline, but I'd like to have a deadline of getting it done this summer because we just want to move on. But I don't have an August 16th deadline, but you know, soon after that. So if you'd rather, go ahead.
I'm in part wondering whether the proposal you said you're operating under to reformat the entire resolution in terms of the model is going to entail significant enough changes that it really might be better to wait until that version is available.
That's fine.
I mean, it's a selfish agenda in terms of the timing for the meeting tonight. I don't know. You saw how long it took us to get through the sustainability plan. Yep. If we get really into it, it could take a while. And at the same time, if you make those changes, you may end up addressing concerns that might come up, because I have a feeling that the model complete and green streets policy probably is very tuned into the issues that we would highlight.
Fair enough. And I'm seeing now that the links aren't working in the packet. They worked in the memo when I uploaded it, but so now that probably suggests to me that most people probably didn't go check the links. So Kermit, that's fine. I can, you know, I know you have other items on your agenda. I'll make you queasy. There you go. You had other things.
Yeah. Well, I just like to ask, what is the bigger overview? Like, let's go up to 30,000 feet here. I'm lost in the weeds, or I can't see the forest for the trees here. I need to see a little bit bigger overview of what this is all about.
Well, the background, it's basically listed in the background of the resolution. So our comprehensive plan in the transportation section started out by having this commitment, stating the commitment to complete streets. And a lot of grant programs really prioritize communities that have adopted a policy of streets that are accessible and safe for all users. So the articulation of a policy is oftentimes a grant scoring criterion. But ultimately, this is about safety and convenience, and safety being the undercurrent.
That's
So
helpful.
not designing for the automobile, but designing for the most vulnerable user, the pedestrian, somebody who needs assistance with mobility.
That's helpful. And little kids walking and things like that.
Yeah, and not having the focus be, a freeway.
Right. That's
Right.
helpful. Yeah. Do you have concerns about, the adoption of it, or, what are you worried about with this? What do you think are the best parts of it?
In terms of where to have you focus your attention, that's where I was trying to encourage this discussion of performance measures. I'm sorry, I was up here. We are a small staff, obviously, and we being not just the planning department, but the city overall. And so some communities that are larger, like Milwaukee, have a long list of performance measures, and we're not going to be in a position every year to say, okay, how many people are now biking in our community? Let's go out and do counts. How many people are walking to their destination? What has been, obviously accident data, crash data, that's something that is reported, although frankly, it's reported a lot easier for vehicles than it is for a pedestrian, sadly. So we don't want to, it's a balance of being aspirational versus being practical. And it's just similar to the debate you just had. So I'm looking for feedback along those lines.
Okay. And so do you have any, right now, are you concerned about any points specifically that you think, besides the performance? It sounds like that's maybe the answer, the performance.
Yeah, that's the main issue. And I, again, I thought these links were working. I double checked them when I uploaded the packet. Now, for some reason, they're not working in the packet. So I don't know what happened.
I just clicked on one on my iPad here.
Yeah.
I could see
It's
it.
working?
I
Yeah.
think, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
That's good to hear.
Seems to be working for me too, so.
Okay, for some reason, it's not on this.
Okay, so like this US transportation highways, this one is also like 53 pages long. Is there anything, so
How about this? I know you have other items on the agenda. You want to be done at 8:30. I don't mind coming back on the 16th. I'm
Okay.
around. I'm always here. I've been here 23 years. Another evening meeting. I'm not going to.
what we can try to do, Mark, is get you on early so that you don't have to sit through another whole meeting,
Okay.
get into your
And-
evening
Right.
again.
And that way you have something that's more definitive for me to for you to respond to, and that's fair. So okay.
And feel free to, highlight things or whatever, that's fine.
Well, and if you individually, as you're, when you have insomnia at night and you click on those links and you have an idea, feel free to write to me individually too. And,
Okay.
just focus the conversation on staff, not amongst each other so you don't run afoul of open
Right.
meetings.
Right.
So
Lisa.
that was my question. My question was rules. Like, is it okay if I go through that and then email Mark directly, hear my thoughts,
great.
my ideas? Is that
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yes. So I'll just, and then we'll get to Lisa here really quickly. Just do a quick overview. I just kind of learned this myself a little bit better too for the new people, so don't feel bad if this takes a little bit. So when we email things around, we can only email with 5 or under people. So that means you and 4 other people. Once we start getting to 6 or more on one email, that's a response. So I could I want to email everyone a picture of my new rain barrel. It's huge. It's really cool. It's unique. I'm going to send it out, but I'm going to have to put in there, if you want to respond that this is so cool, please don't reply all. You just have to respond with 5 or less, and you're one of them. So once we get to 6, that means it's sort of a committee meeting, and we want to keep our committee discussions public. So that's why that is.
Just a point of information. We're talking about 5 committee members. You could put Kelly on and be a 6, and Mark being a seventh or something. You
Okay,
can't
okay,
have
true.
more than 5 committee members.
True, but that's a good question, Laura. Yes, you can go back and forth with Mark, you can go back and forth with me, with Lisa, with whoever. Yes, no problem.
Right.
Okay, so Lisa, I think were you done, Laura? Was that your, looking for you? Okay, Lisa,
Yes, I'm done. Mhm.
thank you.
I was just gonna tell Mark that his links are working on my end. And also, Mark, I would ask with regard to the format, whether or not to adopt the Cleveland, I think it was Cleveland Heights version of it. What, as a staff person, what would work better for you? Because I can tell you, like, the resolution format is great for a resolution, but if you're working, if you want to have like a policy you can point to and be like, are we doing this, that, and the other thing, I would suggest doing it in whatever format works best for the staff.
I like headings and less flowery. I mean, I like headings and categories, and that's why I like the model template language. The way I came up, I wish I'd come across it sooner and absorbed. I had come across it, but I hadn't absorbed it. What I did instead is I really focused on other Wisconsin communities and how they did their policies that in the last 4 or 5 years. That's what I focused on. And I had forgotten about the Cleveland Heights one, and I came across that later after I had drafted the policy. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, okay, I have a lot of those ideas. They're just not organized as well as they could be. And so I'd like the idea of organization. So I really would like to, have these categories and do this again. I mean, I don't want to start from scratch. I don't need to start from scratch. I just want to reorganize it. But I knew where I had weaknesses, and that was with the performance measures and what are reasonable performance measures. Milwaukee has a long list of them. They even created a committee, and I talked to their engineer who was staffing it, and the committee fell apart because it wasn't sustainable. It was a group that was just too unwieldy a structure that they created. So, we have a committee in the city that focuses on ped bike transit issues. It's the Ped Bike Transit Committee. And so we don't need to, create extra work for ourselves. But at the same time, we want to emphasize the city's commitment to make sure our transportation infrastructure, our streets are geared to the most vulnerable user. So I'm comfortable with just coming back, but would welcome each of you, whoever wishes to provide me with comments before that. That's wonderful. Thanks for the opportunity to give you an overview.
Thank you, Mark, for coming.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think we have any other comments on that, right? Not that I can see. Okay. So where we always get stuck, let's go to budget. So 813.
I don't have anything else in the packet for these items, so.
Okay, right. So we could just go back to the agenda. So, and one thing I talked about in a subgroup meeting is, do we have a date, a spend to date? I don't think so. And Mark, I don't expect you to have that. We don't expect you to have that. Do we have a budget tally to date of spend?
Kelly historically has provided that.
Okay. Yeah.
And
okay. So Kelly is looking for, items, and we need to talk about that as committee too. In a sense, budget planning is planning for overall planning for what we want to do. So this committee has a $10,000 budget from the city. We're using some of it, for example, on the parade, bags and signs and, a couple things like that. But it's definitely use or lose. And so we don't want to, we want to maximize the use of it, but of course not wastefully, and make sure that what we spend is, very, a good use of city dollars, tax dollars. So what are people's thoughts on the budget?
Well, I just think we probably made some commitments of money in the last few weeks, and it feels like we could almost table this discussion until Kelly gets back and gives us an update of what we've already committed.
Yeah.
In the past,
Right.
It's been really frustrating that even by end of summer, we had a lot of money left, and we didn't have a clear idea what to do with it. I feel like we could spend a lot of time here waving our hands, but not really know how much money we
Yeah.
have left. And so I
Right.
suggest we try to cut through this right now.
But I think what Kelly's looking for, if I may, Christy, I think what she's
Yeah.
asking is for your guidance as she drafts a budget for your consideration. And I know you want to understand where you are, how you've expended your funds to date. I get that. But if there's any specific program areas that you'd like to see prioritized, I think that's what I'm understanding her request here to be. Unless I'm missing
Yeah.
something altogether. I think that's what she's asking for. She wants your guidance as she prepares, like what policy area, or what,
Yeah.
what areas do you want to have
Okay.
her include in the budget for you to review at the next meeting?
Yeah.
And she
Yeah.
needs that by the end of it. Okay, Kermit, go ahead. You have some.
Yeah, I was just going to point, reading the helpful text that she provided for that agenda item. Mark is, I think, right on the money. She's basically dealing with the fact that the capital budget process is beginning and capital operating budget submissions are due at the end of August. So this is like a shot across the bow for us to start coming up with some thoughts as to what we want in that budget. We would have, at least on the calendar, another meeting before the end of August at which we could firm up or finalize some proposals. But I'm just being sensitive to our commitment to end at 8:30. And that's leading me to think that it would be best to say, okay, everybody, this agenda item has provided a space to discuss and offer recommendations. Let's plan on a dedicated block of time, and between now at the next meeting and between now and the next meeting, let's actually each commit to come up with some specific ideas.
Sounds good to me. Everyone, do we need a motion to postpone, or we just
I just
postpone?
had one kind of follow-up with
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Just-
Thank you.
Okay. Just so for the new committee members, I don't really know what you spent money on before. I mean, can we get like a copy of like old,
Yeah.
an
That's-
old one? I mean, I don't really know at all what you're looking for. The only
Yeah.
guidance I was thinking of was looking at her priorities. And so like she mentioned digging through energy data. Do we need software to do that?
That's helpful. I can see if I can track down the previous budget. I'm sure, well, Lisa, I'm sure has it at her fingertips.
Right.
Christy you probably do too.
Well,
But it should have been, that would have been helpful to have in the packet.
the good news is that the exhaustive, if not exhausting, city website has agenda and minutes for all of our meetings. And so I'm not sure that I can tell you which month to dive into, but somewhere around August, November, or July and August, we're talking about budget each year for the following year. And up until the end of the year, we're talking about what else do we have that we'd like to do? So,
Okay.
And this is how you get to it. You go up to, can you see the screen with the,
Mhm.
so this is our on-base agenda, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. You go to meetings and then you can just type in the sustainability committee right here. And you can say, for example, last year or custom date range. So then all the meetings. So if we look at the one for, well, let's look at the one for August of last year. So budget, here we go.
ta-da.
Draft budget options. There you go. I should have thought to
Okay.
have it up right away. So there you go.
Thank you. That's helpful. I can do that. August last.
It's a
So
two-page.
yeah, thanks, Mark, for the demo. Christy, to your point, I don't think we have a motion here because we're not making a formal decision for the record. We're just discussing a plan, and I think that's sufficient at this point.
Okay. Unless people disagree, speak
yeah.
up. Yeah. Okay. Work plan. So, gosh, Good Neighbor Festival Parade planning. I feel like there's a lot of updates, but I don't know that at this point. What do you all think? I don't necessarily the full committee needs to hear them all. Which ones? Go ahead, people.
I
Please.
think as of now, I'll just like a quick sentence. We've ordered. I'm pretty sure we ordered bags and T-shirts for to give out during the parade, and the T-shirts are for the committee members and the volunteers. And then we have some other electric bikes and cool stuff to show. I think that's like all we have to say for right now. And then maybe if we have extra time, some other time, we can talk more about it.
Yeah,
That's perfect. I will say we're getting T-shirts for everyone on the committee. So if you haven't sent your size to
No,
Deb,
they have. Everybody has.
everyone has. Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Done.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is the LED light bulb initiative, so I'll just dive in. I just got the word today that the US government is not going to have 25-cent, 60-watt equivalent LEDs given out this year. They're just not going to do it. They said 75-watt equivalents are more popular, so they're going with that. So we had 1,500 light bulbs of that wattage on order, which is now no longer. And so the question is, should I order 75s for that money that we had budgeted, $750, or is this not going to happen? I mean, we have hundreds, we have 75s, and we have 40s that we were using for the Voss House. So we have some of those left over. We just don't have a large quantity. And when Kelly comes back, our idea is to get with her and find out where the low-income housing apartments are and try to get with the managers and see what the needs are and hopefully fulfill those needs. So what's the committee's pleasure?
Can I just weigh in too?
Yep,
Deb?
go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I think we've learned a little bit about distributing bulbs at the Voss House, that it's really hard to get them out to the residents, the apartment residents. So I think rather than order any new bulbs, we have a supply of hundreds, and Deb didn't mention hundreds will no longer be available. We have a few. And so my recommendation is that we would hand them out to people that want a reading light at a strategic location. We're not just going to give whole packets out. The 75 seems to be the size. It's a 10-watt, 75 equivalent, which is a 10-watt bulb. Seems to be quite popular. And then we have 40s, which work well in ceiling fixtures and then bathroom fixtures where you have multiple bulbs. So I think the availability of bulbs are going to be, as Deb has said, mostly 40s and 75s, which we have quite a few right now. And then we have some hundreds, but they won't be available anymore. And the 60s are not available, and we don't have any. So my recommendation is that we have to get together with Kelly. And quite frankly, we're all quite busy getting ready for the parade and a whole lot of other things on our agenda. So whether we have time to do much on this in August, I doubt it. But I think in September, we could make a concerted effort to start thinking about, okay, how are we going to get light bulbs to lower income people, and then make a decision about how many more bulbs we would order of the 75. And we don't want to order too many 40s because we might not get rid of them. So that's what my recommendation is. And Deb and I talked about it recently.
Well, my thought is if we're going to order 75s, we should do that sooner than later with supply chain problems, et cetera. I mean, we're more than halfway through the year, and that is a budget item. So.
Lisa has her hand up, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't see that. Lisa?
Okay, thanks. Well, yeah, Deb's right. This is a budget item, and I think we should order the bulbs. I was going to ask, do we have to get them through a government program, or can we just get the bulbs from one of our hardware stores if they buy them bulk from someone else. I mean, we've got money in the budget to do it. It might cost more, but I think we should do it. Also, I wanted to let you know that Middleton Outreach Ministry, Mom, they have started, they're expanding their in-person shopping opportunities. And so that gives us another, I think, a better way to get bulbs to people, because now people can, just go through the store and browse and pick what they want. So don't forget that we still have that option to give bulbs away to people in need at Mom. And if we want to put out, 40s or 6, whatever we've got, people can choose for themselves.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
I think
answer,
I'll kind of respond to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very aware that Mom is a good way to get bulbs out. And so I think what the point is that we want to try to target it for lower income or older home units, apartment units, but Mom is our fallback. So quite frankly, if we can't figure out a way to target individual apartments, which we would need the city's help to identify them and get contact information, then we certainly can get rid of our bulbs over time through Mom. If Deb thinks that that waiting even until August to get Kelly back and talk about the future of this program this year, if we want to commit to buying another 500 or 1,075s, we should probably go ahead. But I don't think we want to make a decision tonight. But I feel like it's a discussion that Deb and I are mostly working on this, could have with Kelly and Christy up until the August meeting.
and to answer Lisa, I asked what it would cost. Well, this is Ace Hardware, because the last time we were talking about this last year was that we wanted to go local rather than, Menards or Home Depot or something like that. So I asked, well, what if we just purchased 60s without the government program? And he said they'd be $4 a light bulb instead of 25 cents. I don't know what the 75s would be, but if the 60s are that much more expensive, that sounds cost prohibitive.
Yeah. It's
I'm just going to, I'm sorry, Christy, I was just going to ask you and the group, it's 8:28 by my computer clock, and we should decide whether we're tabling to a future meeting or doing 10 seconds each update to wrap up.
I think you could do a 10-second update, or if that
Okay, do you
sounds
have
good to
more?
me.
Do you
Me?
have more, Shreya?
I have like a quick update about our school, some of our activities happening, if that's okay.
Yes, go for it.
Okay, so the composter, so background information, Middleton High School has a lot of food waste in that kind of sense, because of COVID, there's been free meals that have been provided to a lot of high school students, and a lot of them are just using the food to get certain items and discarding the rest, and it's not been very waste friendly. We've been working on a composter, and Miss Weitzel and I don't know if you remember, we talked to I'm not going to butcher his name, but the school board president, or the current school board president. And he explained to us how right now the school board is pretty busy trying to pass the sustainability resolution, and that we should wait till around November or December of this year and have a few parents send letters like explaining the importance of a composter. So for right now, I think we're waiting. I'm still trying to get in contact with our school sustainability committee, but I will provide you a more detailed update in August. And then I also had one more thing. This isn't on the agenda, but I don't know what the protocol is. Could I just like talk about it, or?
Is it?
What is it? We may have to defer to next time, but I can move you on the agenda for next time.
Well, I was talking to some of the green team presidents, and I know when we're like, as a committee, when we have events like the celebration, it's like hard for us to like spread awareness or like get people involved. A lot of the other committees, I've been kind of doing a lot of research, not specifically in Middleton, but other cities. They have like social media accounts to kind of spread awareness and stuff. So I don't know what the protocol is, but maybe something like that for our committee.
Perfect. That is something that we are already talking about, and it's been brought up again. So let's bring that to the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So on that note, we'll have to defer the rest unless, I hesitate to say unless. I think we need a motion to adjourn. Unless anyone else has literally a 10-second update.
I
Is there
have
something?
I
is
have
there
a
something
10-second update.
Okay.
Actually, I have two 5-second updates. One, Celebration, I'd like to talk about that, maybe not the next meeting, but September. If anybody gets the Middleton Times Tribune, the inside cover of the last edition, full of pictures from the event. Thank you to all the volunteers who helped with that, Dick and Kermit and Shreya and Kelsey. It was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of positive feedback. People would like us to do this every year, so we'll talk about that. Fleet subgroup thing. Well, actually, strategic plan, nothing, zoning, nothing, sustainable U, we're done until we decide to do it again in the fall. The fleet subgroup, it is really important. I would encourage people to reach out to your elected officials, send an email just saying you really want to see a change in the approach. But I can tell you also, as the chair of the finance committee, this is a really unusual request to ask for permission to buy something now. So there's a good chance that council members won't be willing to make this precedent-setting decision, but you never know. So I just encourage everyone to look to your elected officials and let them know how you feel about the fleet proposal.
Great suggestion.
And maybe even a public comment at the meeting if you're available.
Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
tomorrow night, 7:30. City
In
Hall.
person?
It's always it's in person now, and they haven't got the technology set up to make hybrid. You can watch the meeting, but you can't comment.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. That was great. All those quick updates are very helpful, even though they were quick. Okay, anyone has a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, second or whatever.
Okay, do we
Big
have to
Shreya
vote,
seconded.
vote to adjourn? All vote to adjourn?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you,
Aye.
everyone. Great updates.
Bye.
Great
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, bye.
Yeah, good night.
Bye for now.
Good night.